From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, fill out a Sightlines report if you've seen something strange, and read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. It's updated daily, more coming very soon. Tonight's show is brought to you by Mighty Moose Beard Oil Company. It's 100% Canadian, 100% natural, taking care of beards around the world. Visit MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019 today. We're getting into monsters tonight with one of our favorite authors, as Varla Ventura is back from scouring the world for weird, strange stories, and she is here with her knowledge and research into the cryptid world. Our Cryptid World comes on every couple of months, where Varla takes a look at some of the stranger creatures that people have allegedly encountered over the centuries. Her website, varlaventura.net. Go to Amazon and any major bookstore to get her books. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. The lovely and talented Varla Ventura. You have no idea how many people come up to me in between your appearances and say, when is Varla coming back on? It happens so often.
Really? Well, that's lovely to hear.
Well, it's true.
Thanks for having me back.
Well, you've made kind of an impact with our audience. I haven't
gotten kicked out, so I haven't been kicked out yet.
Well, the audience is running this ship, let me tell you that. How you been? You were just out vacationing around the world. Well, Ireland. Still a lot farther away from home.
I've been actually traversing around the globe quite a bit this year. I've been really lucky, and a lot of it I obviously... it's research. Some of it's research for a book. Some of it's just research for, the freaky fodder that one might want to bust out on at a dinner party on Halloween night. But yes, I just spent a couple weeks in Ireland, and it was, I think anyone who is familiar with any of my books, especially the fairy book, will know that I'm very interested in Irish folklore, and have spent, as much time as possible there. And I hadn't been back for a while, so this trip was just magnificent. I discovered many things I didn't expect to discover, and found out about some additional creatures, which I'll share with you tonight, and just some places that I wasn't expecting to go to. I'll say this, if anyone's considering traveling to Ireland or has been, they might know this already, but it is definitely a country that you can't really, you can plan a certain amount. You want to know maybe where you're staying the first night or something like that. But as far as like over planning or doing one of those tours that has like a really intensive itinerary, it's not that kind of a country. It's kind of like you just let Ireland, I always say, just let Ireland do you. You don't do Ireland. Ireland does you. You just show up and magical things happen when you allow the space for it. And this was just a reminder and renewal of that for me. Because it's a place where everybody, the person who's checking you in at the hotel is a better storyteller than I'll ever be. There's, this wonderful just tradition of telling stories, and everybody has a story, and there's, talk about like creatures and the fairy kingdom. It's just, it's there. It's kind of, hovering in the air at all times, that anyone might just bust out this incredible story that just leaves you kind of you just makes your jaw drop, and you think, man, I wish I had that family story, or there's just a lot of connections like that. And so every time I go, I'll give you an example. So I wrote a book about banshees, werewolves, and vampires. Great topic. People do ask about banshees a lot, and banshees are actually among my favorite creatures because they really sort of straddle that world between ghosts and fairies, and that's pretty unique. Banshee in Gaelic means of the fairy mound, but they also have this quality that is much more like a ghost or something, maybe they sort of are a harbinger of death or illness to come. So they're often described in a very ghoulish manner. Usually female, pale, crazy dark hair. This horrible scream that you hear out in the night. All these kinds of things. And so I am literally just walking down this road. I'm in the middle of Ireland in Roscommon, which is kind of an overlooked area, but I'm actually exploring these sites around Rathcrogan, and there's just a series of sites that they go predate the pyramids, and you've got all of these wonderful Celtic legends associated with them, and also settlements and ritual sites. And so it's kind of a self-guided tour. But there's also this archaeologist who will lead you on this tour. And I was just sort of kind of doing my own thing, but then overlapped with the archaeologist who was giving these two women this very in-depth tour. And here are these two women. They looked like, your little auntie. They had their button-ups on, and they're, just kind of walking along. They had their little umbrellas, and they seemed very, like, not passing judgment, but they weren't you didn't think that suddenly you'd be walking down this country lane and they'd bring up banshees. You'd think you'd be the one that would banshees in that situation, or I would be the one who would bring it up. And I'm just walking along, and I hear one of them say, well, what's the deal with the banshee around here? This is it's like my spidey sense starts tingling. And so there was this one woman, she was completely fascinated and researching banshees. And that was just she had come to the site because we were actually going to this cave, which is known as the Cave of the Cats, but it's also known as the Cave of Hell. And it's supposed to be one of the places where Morrigan would release the spirits from the underworld / fairy kingdom on Halloween night. And so in the span of, less than 10 or 15 minutes, this woman's asking about banshees, and then the archaeologist starts describing like two-headed werewolves and vampires and all of these things that would be released on this night, because of course that's where our tradition of Halloween comes from. This idea that you would disguise yourself as this fearsome thing so they couldn't tell you were not one of them, then they wouldn't entice you back into this other world, that you could kind of pass among them safely. So, basically heaven, right? Because just in like a 10-minute period, I've learned about two-headed werewolves coming out of the mouth of a cave, and started discussing the local local banshee sightings around there. And this was like, it wasn't day one, but it was pretty close to it. So it was just, okay, glad I happened to stop by here. Those are the kind of stories that every nook and cranny, every cave, every county, every region has a variation on. And it's deeply connected with both Celtic mythology and modern stories.
When you are traveling abroad and you're, for instance, in Ireland, where they are very superstitious, very folklorish, Iceland is much the same when it comes to their own little gnomes and trolls and little people areas. Do you find that the people are much more accepting in these older countries of history rather than here in North America?
Well, I certainly think that in my experience in the Irish culture, because the arts and the art of storytelling is so revered as something very important, it's never looked down upon, whether you're, spinning a yarn or you're telling the story of an old story that's been passed down in your family. It's not immediately dismissed as some kind of, I do feel like we have this a lot in North America, and I think people in the paranormal community experience this all the time, that you're careful who you share certain information with. You can't be fully open, even with people that you think might be like-minded, because someone's got a line where they don't want to cross. Like they don't want to talk about the existence of mermaids or something like that. So I think that when you have a culture that is, kind of founded on storytelling and writers, and that's revered as an important art, not that we dismiss writers in North America by any means. I mean, we certainly have our accolades, but it's we have such a mix of cultures here. It's not always doesn't always go back in the same kind of way, I guess. So I find that and it also could be, to be honest with you, when I'm, who knows what it's like for someone who's living there every day. I'm there as a guest. I'm there as a visitor. I'm as open as I ever can be, because I'm having this new experience and I'm absorbing everything and I want to talk to people. And so who's to say that I couldn't get that same experience if I just happen to walk through my own town and be a tourist in my own town? And you can do that, of course. But I think Ireland in particular, you cannot go a block without being somewhere where there's some kind of, incredible artistry and beauty taking place on a really deep level that goes back. It's just a culture that is really built on stories and art and music. And so I think that just lends itself to that sort of enchantment of these kinds of stories.
The reason why I ask is even the governments there take it very seriously. For instance, in Ireland and in Iceland, if there are areas that are known for leprechauns or trolls or little people, because they are so valued in that country's culture, they will make sure that they build a highway or a road bypassing that area instead of cutting right through. Like here in North America, we just don't care. We'll just put a road up. You know what I'm saying? But over there, it's very steeped in tradition that there are certain things and certain cultures and certain folklore that you just do not cross. It's very interesting and intriguing how much more serious they take it over there.
Well, and because something like a fairy fort or a place that is thought to be sacred is also considered part of the heritage. I mean, that is part of the country's history. And unfortunately, in North America, those traditional indigenous stories were just so repeatedly beat down and sort of plowed over. Now, I mean, that's not to say that doesn't happen there. I'm sure there are plenty of roads that, go right through some kind, I mean, that I visited bog bodies that were sort of dug up when they were, the peat bog was being, peat was being harvested. And, that's not done always by hand. They've got machines out there that they're digging, and, sometimes these old bog bodies get like a little bit cut up. So it's not to say that there's not progress. I mean, actually, Ireland's very forward thinking and I was very impressed with the amount of solar and wind generated power that I saw there. And also, this isn't really fairy or cryptid related, but I will say that I noticed, certainly since the last time I had been there, and it's been a number of years since I had been there, a real movement towards sustainability and like a local food movement, where to the point where you would sit down in a cafe in any town in the middle of, anywhere, and you would know the menu, or the blackboard would tell you whose chicken's eggs you were eating and whose cow was on the menu and where the, greens were grown. something we call the slow food movement in the U.S. And certainly people like Alice Waters have been championing that for years. But I just noticed a real movement to the point where little towns that I had visited before, I was seeing this happen. Just a real movement toward sustainability and self-sustaining cultural environment, which is great. It was amazing to see, and it was just really a very eye-opening experience in many ways, cryptid wise, and just sort of a reminder of progress and just some changes that I saw really, really for the better. In my opinion, as a visitor and guest of the country, and also a real movement toward the Irish language being everywhere. I think, as I said, it's been a number of years since I'd been there, but there's definitely a real push to just appreciate the heritage. I know they had a big anniversary, and so there's all these heritage sites, and actually one of the weeks that I was there was like Heritage Week. So all of these great sites like Donegal Castle and places like that, not only were they free to go in, but when you went in there was like a medieval magician and some kind of like, Celtic band playing. I mean, it was just like really this great celebration that was happening all around Ireland. So I was lucky in that I kind of, ended up on the tail end of some of those celebrations.
When you are going to different countries, are you going there for work to study the folklore, the legends, the cryptids that are found there, the hauntings? Is it more about research when you go off to a place like Ireland or wherever you have traveled over the world?
Well, I mean, that and, drinking.
Well, of course. I was trying to be politically correct here, Lord knows you're not going to Ireland to stay sober.
I mean, I am at this point, everywhere I go, I find those stories. It's just interesting to me. So, and I have traveled like that for a number of years. I am, always booking myself on some kind of ghost tour. I am looking for, sites or fairy wells, or I'm always looking for that kind of thing. But the other thing that I've found is that I also have those kinds of things I kind of stumble upon them sometimes. So one of the reasons that I went back to Ireland is right now I'm researching a book on pirates. And many years ago, I was in Ireland and I found myself in this cemetery. I just was walking. I was in Galway and I was walking and I came upon this cemetery. I was kind of trying to explore outside of that sort of main tourist area. And it was a beautiful cemetery, and I hadn't been in many Irish graveyards, and so there were a lot of Celtic crosses, and it was really beautiful. And I didn't realize at the time, but there were like two chapels, and one of them was the Protestant chapel, and one of them was the Catholic chapel. But I didn't know that because I'm just like this ignorant young witch, right? Just sort of wandering around or whatever. And look at all these pretty things. And then the sky just opens up and there's this torrential downpour. So the caretaker, or two caretakers, they have their little, trailer there, and they sort of shouting out to me and like waving me down and telling me, come in. So they invite me into their little trailer and they give me a cup of tea. And then they ask me why I am, what I'm doing there. Like, why am I in this cemetery? Am I looking for a relative? Like, what am I doing there? And then they also asked me why I went on the Protestant side. It's like, I didn't know. I just took shelter from the storm. So, I just say, I'm just really, anytime I go somewhere, I like to go to the cemetery because I think you will learn a lot about the town that you're in or the place that you're in by the way that they treat their dead. You will learn if this is an abandoned place. You will learn names of people that might correspond with streets. You can even just imagine what who these people were. And I've just always found a lot of peace in cemeteries. So I'm kind of telling him this. And he says, well, if you're interested in history, I'm going to tell you how to get to this really, really out of the way cemetery where pirates are buried. So I'm like, okay, pirates are buried. So basically the directions consist more of a story in which he tells me to, go down this lane and then saunter over this way, but always keep the sea on my left. That's how I'll know I'm going in the right direction. So I follow these directions exactly as he told me, and I, sure enough, end up in this old cemetery that is sort of underneath, not a freeway overpass, but there's, a bunch of roads. It's kind of this industrial area. And in there are graves from the 1600s, some of whom are reputed to be pirates. Now, I didn't recognize any of the names at the time, but that night I wrote down the directions. So this was about 20 years ago when this happened. I still had those directions. So I thought, well, I'm going to go back to Galway and see if I can find these to be able to find the, to find out the names of these pirates. So that was part of, why I was going back to this particular area, was to follow these directions and find this cemetery. And of course, now today we have, Google Maps and things like that, so we can cheat a little bit. But I still kept those directions and brought them with me and was able to relocate it. And I don't know who is buried there. I just wrote all, whatever I could make out down. But the graves are in pretty poor shape, and it's pretty difficult to read the names. So I did my best, but I thought, well, there's some pirate history there, so I might as well check it out. And that's just kind of an example of, if I go somewhere, I'll try and find some kind of, mystical hook of why I'm going there. But that's just, day one or, day 6, who knows what's going to happen in between. And, I think it's always good when you travel to have a pretty loose itinerary, so you can kind of see how things go and meet people and such.
We got less than 30 seconds to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. Varla Ventura, our guest tonight. What do we call this? Oh, yeah, our cryptid world. Our cryptid world. I want to get into Banshees. I want to get into Banshees when we come back, because the beautiful part about Varla and I, when we're on this show together, we take a lot of what you're saying. So if you want Varla to talk about some sort of topic, make sure you put it in one of our chat rooms on Spreaker, on Revolution Radio, on the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, or on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio, because that's what I'm feeding off. Varla and I don't do a script for this show. We just kind of run with it. It's all natural. All natural. So that's what we are going to do when we come back. We're going to get into Banshees right after this on Spaced Out Radio, Varla's website, varlaventura.net. Make sure you check it on out. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESSA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology: Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in
to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us. Reminder to all of you that if you, yes, you, are looking for our free archives, we have them stored on YouTube at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. The only thing we ask in return is to hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. If you have a sighting that you can't explain, fill out a Sightlines report. We got more coming very, very soon. I think you'll be excited about it to check it on out. Varla Ventura is our guest tonight for our Cryptid World. This is a little special we do every couple of months with Varla, who is one of the top cryptid and monster researchers and writers in the world. Yes, the world. And her website is varlaventura.net. You can find all of her books on Amazon and in any major bookstore. The lovely and talented Varla, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh, that's all right. We dig that. We dig that. Hey, I want to ask you about Banshees, because I got to tell you that out of all the times I've had you on, you've always mentioned the word Banshee, and we've never really dropped the gloves and got into it. What is a Banshee? What is it all about?
All right, yeah, let's gloves off. So a Banshee, I had mentioned earlier that it actually means of the fairy bound. And a Banshee is essentially a fairy woman who is usually heard, sometimes seen. Their kind of hallmark characteristic is the banshee scream. We've all heard of screaming banshee. Yes, it is also a cocktail. Gets you pretty drunk. But a banshee scream is this kind of, wailing sound, often similar to if you've ever heard Irish keening, or someone like really kind of keening or kind of calling out at a funeral it's a way of mourning. So a lot of people will hear this, not a lot of people, but most of the sightings will be either hearing the banshee, or occasionally there are sightings where you will see this sometimes disembodied sort of head, but usually what looks like a woman. She can be quite beautiful, but then might turn and have some more kind of horrifying features, rather ghostly. And you have everything from banshees that will warn you that someone's going to die, which is the most common thing, that usually it's someone within your family will die. Someone that you love, which is part of what makes them the most terrifying, to just sort of sometimes a banshee is described as a malevolent spirit that will come and sort of wreak havoc. Now, I am of the belief that if a banshee actually wreaks havoc, it's because you're not listening to the message that the banshee is trying to tell you, and they're really trying to get your attention. But there are a lot of stories. In fact, I heard a new banshee story when I was in Ireland about a banshee. It essentially seems somewhat like a ghost that haunts a place that kind of comes and warns you when there's death or some kind of danger. And actually, one of the places that I visited, there's a banshee story associated with this castle. Banshees were sometimes thought to be, and some people still believe that they are associated specifically with a place, or that they were associated with a specific family. So families had a banshee. Now, of course, you're talking about a situation in which the same descendants would have lived for hundreds of years. So if a banshee is associated with a place, it would also be associated with the family. Now, I am on the fence about that because I do think that that could be the case, but I also have wondered if one just inherits the trait that allows one to see the banshee, because not every member of a family will see the banshee. But essentially, it's a warning spirit or a warning being that will appear to tell you that, death is nigh. And what's really cool, for me personally at least, is that I don't have any way of proving this yet, but I found out that that one of the clans that my family was, kind of associated with probably 200 years ago or 300 years ago, and that my grandmother was a descendant of, they have a banshee associated with it's the O'Briens, and they have their very own banshee. And I even found a book that had a story about the O'Brien banshee, and it was actually a really pretty gruesome situation. So it was a rather malevolent and terrifying banshee. So there's a kind of, throughout the world, a banshee specifically, if you're going to be technical, is Irish. Irish have banshees. There are equivalents around the world of very similar creatures or beings. So in parts of Germany or Italy, you might hear of the woman in white. That's a very common occurrence. It's like a ghost that appears. But the banshee itself, in the very word, is Irish. There are, of course, counterparts around the world. The other thing about banshees is that a lot of people believe that they are the spirits of women who either died in childbirth or are in mourning because their children died, or somehow they were responsible for the death of their children. And so they are sort of doomed to sort of like roam and mourn. I did hear about a kind of a new version of the banshee, and some people may have heard this term before, of the washerwoman, or heard a story about the washerwoman. Also in Gaelic translates to a word very similar to banshee that I would completely ruin if I tried to say it properly, but it's sort of the Scottish equivalent, and that translates to a washerwoman. She sometimes appears in Irish and Welsh stories as well, and instead of appearing and like crying and moaning and sort of transforming into this black-eyed crazy thing in front of your face, she's seen at a crossroads or along a road, washing the bloody rags or the bloody clothes of the person that is going to die. So that's pretty similar.
Nothing freaky about that at all.
No, nothing scary at all. Just walking along a road and seeing a little old sort of hunched looking creature with no feet washing bloody rags. I mean, as one does when one is wandering the countryside. Yeah, there was some I read a few pretty scary stories like that. Always good to spend a little time in that section of the bookstore in any country you go to and see what you can find. And I found a couple of great books, and one of them definitely talked a lot about the washerwoman.
I don't want her doing my clothes. I'm just going to say that. So with these banshees, even though they are supposed to be, according to your description, be in mourning of one way or another, are they terrorizing people as well? Are they trying to steal babies from newborn mothers?
No, they're not. They're not out to steal babies. That would be more along the lines of a different fairy that you should fear. That would leave you do the changeling thing and do a fairy switch on you. But the banshees aren't really associated with that. The worst. I mean, they're scary. They're scary. They don't cause death, which I think is, they kind of get a bad rap because they don't cause the death that they are foretelling. They're generally foretelling it. However, there are some examples of banshees that are more malevolent spirits and do behave a bit more like a poltergeist, where they'll come into your house and sort of, thrash things, knock things around, sometimes before your very eyes. Again, I have my own theories about that if you're not seeing the banshee and the banshee is trying to get this message across, then they might kind of thrash things like a wild tornado-like wind whips through your house and shatters all your china. But themselves, I do think they get associated with evil in so much as that people fear death. They associate them with death. And so they certainly aren't, worshipped by any means. But I don't know that I wouldn't consider them evil, or bad. I think they simply are. They are, just as death is. And, it's kind of nice to get a little bit of a warning, although you don't really have much time with that. But there are some stories of, a little bit more bloody or causing a little bit more mayhem. So not all banshees are equal or the same. There are a lot of variations, just as people are. I think that's true across the fairy kingdom. You've got some good eggs, and you've got some bad eggs, and you've got some eggs that are simply eggs. So there's always room for variety and interpretation. And again, you're also, people put their own spin on it, and they have their own family stories. And as I said, the person checking you into the hotel probably knows more about banshees than you'd spend your lifetime researching. So.
See, when I think banshees, I always go back to the old Popeye cartoons. Remember those when the sea hag would chase him around? The sea hag always scared me when she came up.
Oh, I loved the sea hag. She was my favorite. I loved the sea hag. Yeah, I mean, I think there's maybe you should be afraid of banshees. If you see a banshee, that means someone that you love is going to die. Like that's not a good feeling. But I also think that I don't know if I would consider them a psychopomp so much as like a psychopomp being something that helps transport you to the other world, to the afterlife, to the underworld. I don't see them so much as that, as just like a little flash. I mean, death can be horrible and violent and bloody and terrifying. And so I think that banshees are sort of that whatever, momentary physical representation of that moment. They can appear and show us that, which is a very scary thing.
I think so, too. I wouldn't want to run into one. Where do they normally hang out? Are they in forests? Are they on streets? Or are they near the water like the sea hag?
Nope. They could be anywhere. They're at your door is where they hang out. They are scratching at your window. No, but really, they kind of are. I mean, again,
Wonderful.
they are sometimes associated with specific places. For example, there might be a banshee that is associated with a castle or a house or an estate or an intersection, but they also can appear, at a cottage or alongside a road. They're they just kind of show up. It's like everywhere. It's not like a consistent single seaside or anything like that. They can appear at the sea, but they could also appear in the mountains. I mean, they're just everywhere, anywhere. Probably here right now, but we just can't see them.
Are they where they die, or do they go to a location?
That I don't know. In the U.S., we have something especially in Ohio, called crybaby bridges. I don't know if you've ever heard this term.
No, fill me in.
But a crybaby bridge, and for some reason there seems to be a large number of crybaby bridges in Ohio. And a crybaby bridge is a bridge that, as you're walking over to pass over this river, you hear a baby crying. You hear the sound of a baby like crying, and loud enough that you're wondering what's going on. And supposedly these places are where, people have thrown their babies over. So there's this association with crybaby bridges and this kind of wailing sound. There's also an association with banshees being women who are in mourning or who died in childbirth. So there's a little bit of a connection there, I think, just in that idea of, I don't know if it's that it's because they're female. I mean, I've never, ever heard of a male banshee. But this idea of, what is like just the most horrible, saddest thing you could hear in the night, in the distance is the sound of a baby crying that you can't find. And I feel like the banshee has a similar, someone who's in mourning and who's really calling out, and yet you can't actually put your finger on it. You can't actually comfort them. Do they haunt the same place where they died? That I can't, I don't really have an answer for that. I think they can probably wander within a certain amount of, I wonder too, as people emigrated, if you had a family banshee, did the banshee come with you? Because there certainly have been stories, and people have sent me stories of things that sound very much like an Irish banshee that could easily, so then it's like, did it stow away in the luggage underneath the, in the bottom of the ship, or what happened? Or are there just equivalents? La Llorona in Mexico and Central America, just a great big movie out about La Llorona, if people haven't heard of her. Similar kind of background, that La Llorona is said to be wandering along roadsides, and some people say that she's all in black, and other people say she's all in white, but she is always a she, and usually she died in childbirth, or she has drowned her children, or is looking for her children, and that's why she's sort of doomed to wander these highways. Doesn't necessarily cause imminent death or danger to children or mothers or anything like that, but that's just kind of the association.
That's just eerie. It always seems to be tied to children, one way or another.
I mean, what could be sadder and creepier, right? It's
True.
And that I will say that is a big element to any of these stories about banshees. They sort of stick with us and they haunt us, because I do think they tap into that idea of, what our deepest fears. Like any really, really good horror story is very realistic at its core, right? Like that's kind of how that's Stephen King's whole business, is that it's just plausible enough that it could happen to you. And I think that that's the kind of thing that really kind of haunts you and can really scare you and make these kinds of things more disturbing the more you think about and relate and associate with them. The more you humanize them, the scarier they become. Haha, that's ironic.
Well, I understand that, but I guess the way I look at it too is on a humane level. There's nothing worse than a mother harming her own children. There's no worse parent than a mother harming her own children. You know what I'm saying? And to put the two together, like you said, where, on these crying bridges or baby crying bridges or whatever they're called, the fact that some of the stories that we talk about are in regards to, mothers drowning their children or killing their children. That is just horrific. It's horrific to even think that and talk about that.
It's horrific to think that. It's horrific to talk about that. But I also wonder why it's specific to women. Why are there not stories of fathers throwing there are these stories, but why are these things so particularly haunting? And as much as I am a supernaturalist and a folklorist, I also wonder about the kind of sort of gender imposing that we do on some of these things. So that, yes, that is, and I agree. I mean, that is, as a mother, I agree, that is the most horrifying thing. And yet we have, people who have postpartum depression who do have those kinds of feelings, and they are demonized. So I do think there's a certain demonization of the feminine in these stories that we do have to take into account when we are considering what is so terrifying.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you. And when I sit there and I think about it, it just seems like with the Banshees that this is a spiritual entity, if I can call it that. I guess that's a proper word, that absolutely haunts everybody everywhere. Like, it's not just a North American thing or a European thing. It could be in Asia, the Middle East, Africa, Australia. It could be anywhere.
Yeah, well, there certainly are counterparts throughout the world. And I also think that there's a kind of an understanding. I had this wonderful kind of epiphany standing at the mouth of this gate of hell in Ireland that's used to be called the Gate of Cats, and I had this sort of epiphany of kind of that real connection where the difference between what we think of maybe even mythologically as the fairy kingdom and what we think of as the underworld, and that we think of them as separate, but in much of Irish lore, they are the same place, and it's not necessarily a bad place. And it's really sort of that Christianized idea of hell that has changed our perspective over the years. So that's another deep well to
very
fall
deep
down.
Well. Very deep well. We got about a minute here. I'm going to throw in a quick question from Gail. And she is asking in regards to Willow the Wisps, paranormal or Swampcast?
Ooh, or both. I think we have a lot of instances with fairy and folklore that you can explain it away scientifically. I also think that fairy and folklore can basically prove that the locals knew what they were talking about all along. Like, the natives knew what they were talking about. We told you there were these flashes in the swamp. We call them will-o'-the-wisp. You call them gas, whatever you want to call them. I love will-o'-the-wisp. I think that they can be attributed to many different phenomenon, but I've heard enough stories and beautiful stories about will-o'-the-wisp. In the end, even if it is gas, why is it appearing and kind of warning people to go away from this, boggy quagmire? If you see them, you don't go beyond that. There's a reason that you see it. Why is nature warning us not to go into this zone, right?
I get you. Varla, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break. Varla Ventura, we got her for another 90 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Lots of cool talk with Willow of the Wisps coming up after this.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other. Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more. Keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacy, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESSA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 is underway tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. I want to say hello to everyone listening in on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Down in Reedsport, Oregon, we are on KDUN AM 1030. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Yamaka. Yamaka is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rocking Out to Bumblefoot. You can fill out a Sightlines report if you've seen something strange, or Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, which is updated daily. Tonight we're talking with cryptid author Varla Ventura, who comes in every couple of months for Our Cryptid World. We love it when she is here hanging out with us. Her website, varlaventura.net. You can get all her books on Amazon or in any major bookstore in the United States. Varla, welcome back to the show.
Why, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I had to cut you off early. Will-o'-the-wisps. I have no clue what this is. Fill me in.
So a will-o'-the-wisp is also kind of it can be considered a little bit of a warning phenomenon, which I had heard of will-o'-the-wisp, and I'd actually heard had read a few poems, especially like these collections of folklore and fairy tales that you read more as a kid. And I had heard the term quite a bit. But when I was researching about banshees, anytime you're researching about fairies or any kind of things like that, they tend to come up. And essentially, they are thought to be sort of a warning. So let's see, the Welsh equivalent would be the death boggle at the crossroads, which is totally scary sounding, or a corpse candle. So you would see this sort of flickering, this light in usually in a kind of more swampy or marshy area, but sometimes in a forest. And you would, that is a will-o'-the-wisp, and it is thought to be something of the fairy kingdom that would be actually really quite a good omen, not always good. Sometimes it was a warning to stay back, but other times it was really just a way to kind of let you know that you were on the right path. Now, some people say, oh, a will-o'-the-wisp was, this kind of like gas. Other people said that will-o'-the-wisps are fireflies, but essentially it's this like flickering light that's in the distance that is out of the corner of your eye. And I have read many accounts of this being something that is sort of mesmerizing and magical and not necessarily a negative thing. But I do think that there are some instances in which a will-o'-the-wisp might be perceived as something frightening or kind of more along the lines of, something scary. Just because you don't know what it is, and it's this kind of freaky thing that's doesn't seem normal. It's out of the corner of your eye, or it's really ghost-like. So there's a lot of different variations within the basic definition, which is that it's some kind of spirit that sort of haunts with light.
So how does this come out? How does this come to be? Where are people experiencing this?
So typically it's usually in like a forest or a kind of more natural setting, but it can also be like if you're just out in, just kind of cruising along the road. I haven't ever heard of too many stories where it's happening like in somebody's house, but it might happen in your own yard. And they have a lot of different names. Some people call it like a fairy light. Other people just consider it something very ghost-like. Today, we have a few scientific explanations for it. As I said, it could be fireflies. It could be this kind of natural bioluminescence that happens in the forest. This is one of those situations where we were kind of starting to get into this on the break, but like, does it really matter? Does it matter if it's some sort of sulfuric gas that's reacting with something in the atmosphere, or if it's bioluminescence? Is it not serving the same function? In folklore, it would probably deter you from going toward it or enchant you in another direction. Nature has a lot of ways of doing that. It's still doing that. It's, you're not supposed to go and like scrape it off and put it under a microscope. You're supposed to leave it alone. It's protecting something that is probably more delicate in the ecosystem. That's the function in nature. In folklore, it would be doing that, but the explanation would be less scientific and more embellished. Nonetheless, it's still trying to keep humans from, messing it up, right? Just totally complied with the FCC there with what I really wanted to say.
I bet.
Held it in. So, anyway, the will-o'-the-wisp, kind of fascinating ghost lights that flicker and enchant.
Oh. When do they pop up for people? Do they pop up for people who are sad in a dark place, depression, anxiety, or are they like most ghosts and spirits in a haunting where they could just pop up at any time? Did you put your microphone on mute?
Well, I think it probably... I think we're just having a little glitch in the little delay there.
There we go. Now you're back. Yeah. Now you're back.
Yeah, we had a little delay. You got a little choppy for me, and I think I got a little choppy for you. Probably some kind of spirit intervening. So I don't know. I think that will-o'-the-wisp. So they're similar to banshees in some instances. I mentioned before something that is called a corpse candle. And in Welsh folklore, there is this idea of something very similar to a will-o'-the-wisp that is basically like this flickering candlelight that appears. And it was believed that that meant that someone was very ill, that somebody's light was flickering out of them, is how it was interpreted. And so then you would, rush home and see to your loved ones. I think that in general, people who have, they see whether it's something from the fairy realm or an unexplained phenomenon or a ghost or another kind of encounter that they have, I consider that to be a gift. It might not always be a gift that you want. It might not always be a gift that you've asked for or begged for or put on your wish list, but it's a gift nonetheless, because that doesn't happen to everyone. It's more common than we think. It happens to more people, and the more you talk to people, you find out they do have something they can't quite explain away. But to be able to really see something like that, I mean, that's the second sight, and that once upon a time was really revered as something very important and very necessary in order to help all the people see these things and understand these things. So I think if you were to see something like that, I mean, certainly I would say if there's any pattern, it's if people are very sensitive, who also can be people that can tend toward depression or other kinds of, states of mental health or awareness. They can be also sensitive to seeing these things because they are also more, I guess, kind of in tune, and that can make you feel overwhelmed. Anybody who is an intuitive or an empath in any way can attest to the fact that you have to develop a certain amount of resilience, because there's a lot of it that is very overwhelming. So I think there's a lot of people used to just say you were crazy. You were either gifted or you were crazy. Now I think we have come to understand that you can be both those things.
Oh, goodness me. I do have some questions. I'm trying to find them on Twitter here, because I know there's a couple questions that have been asked of you in regards to this. So please bear with me for a quick second, because there's one from Greg in the UK that I must be just scrolling right on over it. Oh, goodness, I can't find it right now. I'll look for it.
Maybe if he just yells really loud, we'll hear him.
Yeah, no kidding. Greg, speak up a little bit, man. Speak up a little bit. Can't hear you. Okay, here it is. Varla, have you ever come across stories of the Baobon Sith Banshee thought to be a shape-shifting murderer?
Oh, actually, hang on a second, because I have a book right next to me that talks about a shape-shifting... As it turns out, I have a book right next to me that talks about a shape-shifting murdering banshee, but I don't think it's the same one. It's actually one. This is the Banshee, the fairy woman, foreteller of death. We already went over that. I think this is the one that is associated with the place called Duckett's Grove in Ireland. Now, I don't think that's the same one. So I guess my answer is no, not exactly, but I have heard of shape-shifting banshees, and I've heard of a couple of stories where there was a shape-shifting banshee that was went on a murderous rampage. But I don't know if it's the same one.
I don't know either.
I'm looking in the book right now to see if it's this. What's the name of the place again that he said? Can you tell me that again?
Let me find it here.
Now you got to find. Just read again.
Baobon Sith Banshee, thought to be shape-shifting murderers.
No, this is a different one, but I have heard of shape-shifting, but I don't know. I usually, most of the time when you hear of banshees, I think the banshees are getting the bad rap there. I think they're just the messenger. But yeah, there are definitely some more malevolent stories.
All right, let's move on. I got another question from Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio from Canadian Joe. And I think Canadian Joe will be actually attending the Alien Cosmic Expo, watching me speak next week. I hope so. Anyways, he is asking, Varla, what do you think of giants? Are there any truths to the legends?
Yeah, there's definitely. I do think that there are or were giants. I don't know how many really are left anymore, but there's a lot of stories about very we even have like the Nephilim, this sort of like crazy tall race that they're 7-8 feet tall. I think there were giants that were even larger than that. I also think that there were a lot of small people that exaggerated the height of giants. I definitely think that there's some kind of xenophobia involved with some of the recounts, but certainly, and giants play a huge role in some of the Irish folklore. And, I think many of us have heard of the Giant's Causeway, which is this geological formation in Northern Ireland, thought to be created by Finn McCool, the giant who kind of ruled over Ireland. And then there was a Scottish giant, don't remember his name, but the story is that they had this kind of friendship that went south. And so Finn McCool ripped up the road between Ireland and Scotland, and this only thing that was left is there's a place in Scotland where the same geological formation is, and that's said to be where the old highway once was. So I have heard some pretty interesting stories about giants, trolls that were incredibly large. I've heard stories of Scandinavian trolls that were large and very beautiful. So I think there are some of the Norse legends that get mixed in with the with the Celtic culture, and that gives way to giants, along with the natural ability to want to exaggerate one's size. I think those things all come into play.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Do you think there are still giants walking around? For instance, there is all of these alleged reports, and I'm not sure if I buy them or not, that they're in the Middle East, in Afghanistan, that United States military troops have actually come in contact and battled with these so-called giants. It sounds very unfathomable. I realize that I'm really having to take my tinfoil off in order to say that, but I do believe that these legends are still out there, that they still exist in certain places. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I can say, being a stalwart supernaturalist, and not without my own skepticism, and I think you can probably attest to this as well, Dave, that as soon as you think you are quickly proven wrong. And in the world of cryptids and the supernatural and the paranormal, we really don't know. And yeah, some of us might draw a line in the sand and say, okay, UFOs are real, but mermaids aren't. But we don't really know. I mean, if you're open to the one possibility, you have to keep, no matter how much your sort of skeptic pops up, you have to consider that is a possibility. And, I get asked that kind of question about mermaids a lot. It's like, how can there still be mermaids? And you probably experienced this with Bigfoot quite a bit. It's like, how can it still be out there if, people have been looking? It's like, well, we haven't searched every crevice, have we? We haven't gotten all the way down under the Earth's surface. There's so many things we don't know. It's hard to completely dismiss these kinds of things. And you do have to
you have to take into account other people's stories. And if it's, who am I to say that, a soldier is any less credible than, someone who wrote down folklore 200 years ago? I don't know. It's totally possible.
Would you throw Bigfoot in that mix? I mean, but you look around too, outside of Bigfoot though, there's a lot of humans that have been well over 7 feet. All you have to do is watch an NBA game. Sure. Or any basketball game.
It's not right. I mean, that was kind of what I was saying, is that when you have, size can be exaggerated. And if you're 5 foot tall and someone walks in the room that's 7 foot tall, suddenly, they're a giant to you, right? Like it's not a huge leap, to know that there are people who are much, much taller than us. And that sometimes the way a story is told is really just trying to explain the relationship between two cultures or two experiences. And it's not necessarily, something living up above us in a beanstalk. It can actually be somebody that was significantly taller and changed the DNA of the people around them because of it. But I guess my point is that I can't really, I personally have not had a Bigfoot experience, but I know people that have had them, so I can't dismiss that. So if someone were to sit down and tell me a story about a giant that they encountered that they thought wasn't human, I would have to, I would need to put that in the same category. Until you experience it yourself, that's the only way you know for sure. And who knows if you'll even survive that experience. So that's probably why these stories are so fascinating to many of us. We have had enough experiences, or enough of an inkling or a hunch, or enough of these kind of sightings or personal experiences to make us know that it's possible. And so therefore we start exploring what other people have experienced. If it's the same as us, what else is out there?
See, the giant thing, if we're talking 10 to say 14 feet, let's get into Goliath. Then I would believe in the giants. But with so many people who are 7, 8 feet tall, well, not many people 8 feet tall, but in that, say, 6'8" to 7'5" range that are walking on this planet, maybe a handful who are taller than that. I think that's where it gets a little bit different. And you also got to wonder about the health there of people, as we got about, let's say a minute and a half to go here before we go to break, because they are... Sorry, my dog all of a sudden is trying to invade my foot area here. He knows better. Come on, Doug. Come on, Doug. Don't interrupt the show, man. But, my dog Doug comes to work with me every night in the studio. But nonetheless, with the Giants...
See, you're a giant to Doug.
Yeah, that's true. We're giants to ants. That's it. We're giants to ants.
We're all giants to something.
Isn't that true? And if you've never stood beside somebody who is like 7 feet plus tall, it's amazing how small you can feel. It really is. When I was in sports radio, Varla, and covering the NBA, I felt small. I felt short. Never felt happy covering the NBA. I could reach my arm up and still not get their mouth with my microphone. That's how bad it was. Varla, you hold on. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Varla Ventura is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Our cryptid world continues right after this.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other. Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more, keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology: Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. We've passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Got Rainbow Mikey sitting right in front of me here as well, hanging on out with Doug and Shadow. It's a packed house in the studio tonight. Want to remind all of you, if by chance you want to check out any of our archives, we have them free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, fill out a Sightlines report if you've had anything weird or strange happen, and of course, you can always read up on our news, the SOR Newswire with Captain Shirk. Varla Ventura comes in every couple of months for Our Cryptid World, where we talk all sorts of weird, strange monsters that are lurking in the shadows or in the waters all around this great planet. Varla's website is varlaventura.net. You can find all of her books on Amazon as well as any major bookstore. Varla, always a pleasure to have you here.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Where are we at with the towels? You know, we're going to design the Spaced Out Radio towels.
Are we designing towels now?
Do we not remember this? This is like, you know, the towels. You get the towels. You can wear them like a kilt. I know you were talking about T-shirts. I thought we were going to do beach towels.
Well, I can do some beach towels. I'll be reopening the Spaced Out Radio store here probably within a week. And if you want a towel, Varla Ventura, I will get you a towel.
Anyone who actually remembers this conversation should definitely tweet us right now. If they know what I'm referencing, then they should post a picture of it.
All right. You know, you got me lost here too, you know. You do know that, right? I have no clue what you're saying. No clue.
Really?
And I'm not even playing stupid here right now.
Do you want me to tell you, or should we just see if we should make this a contest?
I'll just say it. Just spill the beans. My anxiety can't handle this one.
So I think it was maybe the first or second time I was the guest on your show, and you were talking about making these T-shirts, and I said, oh, well, what you should do is you should make like a T-shirt of yourself, and then you said, oh, we should make beach towels or something. I can't remember exactly how the whole conversation evolved, and I said, oh, well, what you should do is you should make a T-shirt with you wrapped in a beach towel, and then your friend drew a picture of you. You don't remember this?
I do remember this now. I do remember this now.
Repost the picture.
Gotta find
this.
That.
This picture is the reason that I came back on your show. Just so you know.
Oh, okay. It wasn't the professionalism or the ample questions that we have you answer. The promotion of your books.
No, it was the sketch of you looked like you were in a kiln. That was pretty much it.
At least I had nice legs. You know, I am going to fill in our audience here on one thing, because a couple months ago, you kind of put a bug in my ear, and we were talking about advertising, and you kind of brought up the topic about, you know, for authors, there's not really a lot of affordable advertising to get their books out. And you kind of suggested that we should do something on our website. And in the next few days, we will actually be launching a section on our website called We Read the Night. And with that, people will be able to go onto our website. We're going to gather a bunch of authors, and they will be able to go onto our website. And we're only going to take the 30 best authors we can meet. 30 best that we're going to talk to. If they say yes, we're going to do it. Like you, Varla, you're going to do it. Anyways.
Totally doing it. Great idea.
Because it was your idea. It was your idea. So people will be able to pick up your books right there, then and there, right on our website. They don't have to go searching for it. They don't have to, you know, go to all the other websites or anything. They can just boom right there, click on Amazon and buy your book right there. So we're going to be doing that. So thank you for the great idea on helping us promote Spaced Out Radio with getting people to read books again.
Yes, we're pro literacy here at Spaced Out Radio.
Absolutely. I got a question coming from Ailuros Phoenix in the Spreaker chat room, who is asking, Ms. Ventura, are you able to prove anything at all? And considering your profession, do you feel it's not your charge to do so?
Prove what? That I can write, or that I can talk, or that fairies are real? I mean, I have a lot of experiences that I've had. I've had more I would classify them as paranormal experiences. You know, I've probably started when I saw the ghost of my grandfather when I was very young. I've had numerous kind of warning ghost type experiences. You'll have to take my word on that. I mean, I can't prove that I can't prove to you that I've had those. I have shared many stories that other people have contributed or retold to me. I don't think my goal is to prove that these things exist. My goal is to just sort of tell the stories. I think the stories need to be told, and there's two part. One, yes, I'm a believer. I do believe in these things. But two, I do believe very strongly in the art of storytelling, and I do believe that when we are sharing these kinds of stories, whether it's on the radio or we're reading them in a book, or we are just sitting around the campfire and we are sharing these stories, that whether you completely believe that this happened to me or not is sort of irrelevant, because in that moment you are lost in that story. And when you are lost in that story, you have suspended doubt. And when you suspend doubt, you open yourself up to the possibility that anything can happen. And that is the key to sort of switching off the I can't do it part of our brain and innovating. So, I mean, this happens as part of the creative process. You have to get to that point where you shut off that naysayer in order to create whatever it is. If it's a piece of a painting or a story that you're writing or a song that you're creating, any of these things, you are at a certain point you have to just sort of tap into that stream. And I think that we need to share those things. It's that need that draws us to this kind of unknown. And I think that as much as I love talking about this kind of thing, I also love reading and hearing other people's stories. There's nothing that I love more than a good horror story and a good ghost story. And those always start out with, I've never had anything like this happen to me, but, it happened to me, or I don't usually believe in this kind of thing, or I consider myself a skeptic, but this is what happened to me. And I think by sharing these stories, not only are we having this amazing thing happen in our brain where we're kind of tuning ourselves into possibilities, we are also creating a sort of community and camaraderie. So, I mean, if anything, my charge is just to, keep that belief and that possibility going through the art of storytelling. But, am I recording EVPs? I mean, that's somebody that there are people that do that and have other forms of evidence. That's not really, I don't go out and do a lot of investigations. I do what I do. I experience things and I listen to other people's stories and I try not to dismiss them. And try and explore, many facets of it. I don't believe everything I read. I like to analyze the, fine art of fairy tales. But, my evidence is, the proof is in the pages, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Is there a monster, a cryptid, a folklorish creature that you prefer to cover and to learn about? We all have our favorites. What's yours?
Probably just generally ghosts. And I would kind of lump banshees into that world a little bit. I do love learning about different creatures and things from the fairy kingdom. And I think, as I sort of mentioned before, that there's a fine line between the fairy kingdom and what we would consider the ghost world or the other world or the world of the paranormal. But I would say, I really, really have always enjoyed a good ghost story. And I think that comes down to having a lot of experiences as a child that I couldn't quite quantify, but was lucky enough to have a parent who didn't immediately fill me with fear over seeing those things. So my mom was always very like, okay, well, what happened? All right. She didn't dismiss those things as unreal or not having happened. So I think that kind of fed my interest in them being possible. And then I would continue to have experiences, and I have had them throughout my life, just paranormal encounters, I guess. And many people in my family have, and I am drawn to people who have had them. So probably ultimately, if I had to choose, I'd probably just hang out with ghosts. And then I guess maybe vampires would be my second. Sorry, vampires, you're my second. And then werewolves, and then fairies.
See, I like the outdoor stuff. I would love to go, and I'm looking at my buddy Rainbow Mikey here, who's in the studio tonight, and he's retired, and he literally runs around the forest daily looking for. Did you finally get it? I did. Okay, the reason why I said that was because yesterday, the last 4 days, I've had a fruit fly in the studio here, and it would not die. I must have hit that thing about 25, 30 times. It was like the Terminator, would not die. Mike just killed it. Finally, your hunting prowess comes perfect timing, man. Appreciate that. Anyways,
7 in one blow.
Mike goes out every day looking for Sasquatch in our area. And he's found a couple of potential prints this year. And it's funny because people are starting in our area to come out of the woodwork. I was talking to one lady around our town. Her and her husband own a rabbit farm. And one of their fellow farmers that they know has had an issue with these little trolls running around their yards.
Mm.
And I'm like, call me. Don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Call me. Got to see these trolls. Got to see them.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. The ghost thing doesn't really get to me. Yes, I do the tour and everything like that to help raise money for our museum. But, unless they're going to be coming at you and actually seeing them right there standing in front of you, and you're having a conversation, and you're like, can you point me towards the fridge? I need a sandwich. To me, it's
but none of those
odd.
things appear on command, and that is sort of the misnomer and probably the frustration of the whole thing. But when you see these like ghost shows where they're, come on, ghost, show yourself, and it's like, actually 92 hours of footage and nothing has happened, so someone throws a pen in the background. This is like, those are the kind of things where you can't fully quantify it, and when you do, it becomes less, I don't know, just seems to become less legitimate, and those kind of things don't happen on command. And I think that's true of any kind of experience that you have. If it's if you're out there in the woods and you hear, some kind of insane moaning or something, like, you don't know what it is. Like, that's not something like I'm going to go out and sit out here. Of course you can put yourself in the right place at the right time and sort of put yourself in these extreme circumstances over and over again and increase your chances. But overall, I think they choose us. We think we're looking for them. I think they're choosing whether or not they think it's okay for us to see them. I don't know if that's so true with ghosts, other than that some people can just they just have that ability. They have that sense to either be able to see or hear or smell things. But I like it all. I don't really rule out any of the cryptid world as something I wouldn't want to research more or kind of hang out more with. But if I had to choose, I would choose a good ghost encounter over anything
Varla,
else.
Why do you feel that so many experiences happen to so few? There are so many listeners who listen to this show or other shows like us who've never experienced anything. They would love to see a UFO. They'd love to have a Bigfoot encounter or see a ghost or get chased by a dogman or get mauled by a gnome in their garden. They would love to have something happen, and they want to believe, yet nothing does. Yet you get certain people out there, I guess I would throw my name in that list, where, they've had all of these multiple encounters from multiple different species and aliens and, shadow people, you name it. Why do you think that so few are having so many experiences where people who want to believe are just not having any?
Well, they haven't had any yet, I guess. One of the things in the most recent book that I wrote, the Paranormal Parlor book, is that I interviewed quite a few people about their first. I didn't intend for it to be their first paranormal experience, but I asked them to tell me a significant paranormal experience that they had had. And over again, I had people tell me about their first time, their first experience in the seeing a ghost or whatever it is.
It wasn't that long ago. I couldn't believe it happened to me
yesterday. But a lot of times you have people who are very interested in it and had done research for years and eventually found, not had an experience and then had this experience. That's the experience they shared because that was the kind of their turning point, that even though they were fascinated with the subject, they hadn't actually had the experience themselves. I don't know. I can't really say why. Like, why do some people have the second sight and other people have, no sight? I don't really know. It's just kind of how we're made. And that's not to say that that won't happen to people and you can be really interested. But, like, I'm really interested in rocket science, and I read all the time about going to the moon and things like that. Am I actually going to become an astronaut and go to the moon? No. I'm going to, stay in my little dark room and write. probably until I die. So, but I can think about, well, what would it be like? So I think everybody has a right to want to experience and learn more about things that they, whether or not they're actually going to have those experiences. We need people who haven't had the experiences to keep us in check and to kind of just sort of remind us that not everyone has actually had that, had something happen. Not everyone has seen a ghost or had a Bigfoot encounter. And it just reminds you that, it makes you question what you've learned, and it makes you question what you've experienced, and then have to sort of really, renew your belief in what has actually happened to you. I mean, you can't, not saying that you have a audience of cynics out there, but it is good to have people who ask questions and want to know more, because it makes us wonder too.
It really does. So if you could experience anything with a cryptid, which cryptid would you want to hang out with? Which cryptid would you like to have an encounter with? We got about 3 minutes left.
Oh, that is such a question. If I could experience anything with a cryptid that I've not experienced, oh my God. I guess I would say that werewolf. I would love to have, and I kind of think there's a big sort of lumpy area that's could be werewolf, could be dogman, could be Bigfoot. So some sort of large, like hairy beast that is actually a lot nicer than, it's like Harry and the Hendersons, a lot nicer than we think it is. That's something I've never experienced.
You should meet Mike in the studio then. Big, hairy.
This is why we do these things over Skype, right?
I think for me, I would love to experience the sighting of a dogman. I don't know why, but I just feel drawn to that experience, and that that feeling of fear that I would probably have. I just want to see it. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, I feel that for myself and for many people, that when you are having that experience, you are in this survival mode, so that you're not actually even as afraid as you are when you're retelling the story later. Every ghost encounter I've had, it sounds a lot scarier when I'm retelling it, but in the moment, your logic kicks in. You're just like, there's no way. No, this was like the wind or a branch or whatever. You kind of trying to explain these things away. So I wonder how. I mean, I almost go into a more cynical mode when those things are happening. And then it's after the fact when I realize that I can't explain it. Now, after the fact being 30 seconds later, right? You realize time slowed down and you realize that you can't really explain what's happening. But it's not like in the movies where you're just standing there and all of these things are swirling around you and you're like, whoa, this is really freaky. What should I do? Should I run? It's not always like that. It's never been like that for me. It's always been like, what? That's not an animal. That's not a cat. That's not a branch. You're going through all of these things that it could be. And then you realize that it's just something that's there. And I've only had a couple of times where, and it was in the same apartment where I had it was like a repeat message or something, and where I had whatever entity was in my apartment, it kept doing what it was doing. So one time I was laying in bed and I was, about to drift off, and whatever it was like, probably 2 or 3 in the morning. And, I routinely go to sleep that late, don't you?
I'm a night owl. That's why I'm here. Varla, you hold on. We got Varla Ventura, another half hour on Spaced Out Radio. Hour 3 coming on up. on the mighty SOR. Stay tuned.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today. Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacy, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark, and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio and Kingdom of Nye Radio. Thank you for tuning us in, as well as on our terrestrial affiliates, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. Remember, all of our archives are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate that. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Yamaka. Yamaka is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, has a plethora of features for you. More coming as well. We got Bumblefoot. You could rock out to him. Fill out a Sightlines report if you've had something strange happen. And the SOR Newswire, which is updated daily by Captain Shirk. For the final time tonight, we introduce Varla Ventura, author extraordinary. You can find her books on Amazon, any major bookstore as well. She comes on every couple months for Our Cryptid World, where we just hang out and talk monsters. Varla's website is varlaventura.net. Have I got it all, Varla, now? Have I got it all?
That's it. It's not much more. That's all there is. Now.
I'm just happy that fruit fly is finally dead. I am so
I'm happy for
that.
You. I know that
feeling. You have no idea. This was day 5 of this little thing torturing me. Every time I would go read my script, the damn thing would fly by and it would drive me haywire. And I'd be like clapping. It'd be like Radio Gaga by Queen, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible, but it's gone. Varla, I'm a pretty superstitious guy. I'm not going to lie. And tomorrow is not only a full moon, but Friday the 13th as well. I can tell you point blank, I will not be starting my chainsaw tomorrow. I will not be breaking glass. I will not be walking under ladders. Anything that could put my life in peril. Why are people so afraid of Friday the 13th?
Will you open an umbrella indoors?
No. Sacrilegious. Sacrilegious.
So the fear of the number 13 is actually, it has a name, and we're going to diagnose you now. It's called triskaidekaphobia. And it basically means that you're afraid of things appearing in the sequence of 13. There are a few theories about why we are afraid. Now, I personally love the number 13. I'm going to go on record as saying so. But there's a reason that there's a superstition around the number 13 and it being a Friday. Now, some people say that it has to do with the 12 apostles and the, sort of the betrayal of at the Last Supper. The 13th person was the one that kind of set everything off kilter. I don't really think that's, I don't know if that's why we're afraid of it. I don't see anything wrong with the number 13, but there are quite a few things associated with the number 13 that freak us out. And of course, we know that there are a lot of hotels, certainly back in the day, that don't have a 13th floor. You're not supposed to have a 13th floor. The idea was that the number 13 was associated with sin and the devil. The very reason that I like the number 13 is probably the very reason that people sort of inadvertently are afraid of it, because it's associated with something that they consider to be negative. So I have a couple of facts here for you about the number 13 in honor of Friday the 13th. It's called, I'm going to read it. I'm reading it from my own book because it's a very long word that took me a long time to pronounce and learn to pronounce on the radio. And of course, I've failed that a couple of times already. Triskaidekaphobia, fear of the number 13. Apparently, yes. Henry Ford, you are in good company, because Henry Ford was also, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt was also afraid of the number 13. They say that Roosevelt would actually divert his planes if they fell on the 13th of any month. Trains would be ordered to leave the station before midnight on the 12th or after midnight on the morning of the 14th. If he was on board, he would not get on a train on the 13th. And Roosevelt even avoided the 13th in death. He died on Thursday, April 12th, 1945. So managed to skate by that. But I think that a lot of our superstitions have some basis in practicality. So there is this idea that, there was the 12 apostles, and then the number 13 sort of set everything awry. But you also have something like opening an umbrella indoors, and that this is considered to be bad luck. We've all heard this all of our lives. Never open an umbrella indoors. It's bad luck. Well, that has very practical reasoning. Back in the day when umbrellas were first invented, they were rather sharp and they were quite weapon-like. And if you were in the company of some well-to-do senators and such, and you just popped open your umbrella and you sliced someone open, you could actually do some damage. So it actually became bad etiquette, which then became bad omen to open your umbrella indoors. These are same thing with passing under a ladder. It actually was technically not very safe to do. You could upset the ladder. You could pot of paint could fall on your head. So a lot of these kind of superstitions have some very practical origins. Tomorrow, not only is it Friday the 13th, it's a full moon, it's a full harvest moon, and I believe it is also a full harvest micro moon. So astrologists out there will have to weigh in on the magical and social repercussions of a micromoon. I can only speculate about what that would be. But yeah, Friday the 13th, and we have all kinds of movies and stories about the number 13 being something very askew. Now, you don't like it, Dave. You don't like the number 13.
No, which is funny because we were talking a little bit about numerology last night on the show, and the number number that's haunted me for the last 20 and a half years is 513. And yet I had never seen that number until my daughter was born, and she was born 6 weeks premature at 5 pounds, 13 ounces. Ever since then, I run into 513 almost daily.
Does it bother you still?
It doesn't bother me on a fact. I hate the number 13, so that bothers me. But it intrigues me. It makes me wonder why I'm holding that mental capacity for the number 513.
Yeah, numerology is always that's an area I don't know that much about it, and it is a very fascinating thing. I mean, I've met people that say, "Okay, your name is Varla Ventura. Okay, there's this many letters in your name. All right, here's the date you're going to XYZ." Or this is you're on your 8th life path or something like that. It's like, how did you figure that out from the number of letters in my name? And I know probably a little more about astrology, but not a ton about astrology, just kind of, your basics, like most of us. So yeah, numerology is very fascinating, and actually it just brings into a lot of the ideas of the Fibonacci sequence and these kind of patterns and things that are kind of going on constantly in the universe that can, easily be tapped into. But I'm not afraid of the number 13. I kind of like it. I like that it's not the number 12. I like that it's not an even number. I mean, I think I like that people don't like it. No offense, but
you also want to make it a vampire here. So
who doesn't? Come on. Hey, I thought I voted for werewolf earlier.
Either way, still scary. Yeah, I mean, but with this, there's always I have friends who are corrections officers, and they will say that every full moon they have to lock down the prison because it goes haywire with the prisoners in there. There's a lot of people who seem to be affected by the full moon. A lot of people affected by Friday the 13th. I mean, when the two land together, that's just all sorts of hell breaking loose.
You would not want to be working in an ER tomorrow night if you can get someone to cover your shift. No, that's absolutely true. And I have friends that are EMTs, and they say, God, I don't know what it is, but on the full moon, the ER is flooded. It just really, it brings out whatever is, just brings out this sort of maniacal nature, this sort of lunatic nature. And yeah, I've had ER doctors tell me that. I mean, this is definitely, it's not really a phenomenon. It's something that happens. I mean, there's water, moon, there's all kinds of stuff happening there. But I think that, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow night. Probably we're going to be okay. But we might have to tune in to find out, right?
Are we going to see a bunch of witches and spells?
Oh, God. If we are lucky, if we're lucky, we're going to see witches, spells, bonfires. That'd be a great night to have a bonfire. But traditionally, the harvest moon was the time, the full moon closest to the greatest harvest date. People could stay out late in the fields because it didn't get dark. It was flooded with light. You could still harvest, and you could kind of celebrate that the pre-darkness to come. So, just sort of historically speaking, it was an important full moon to have. Of course, it doesn't always fall on Friday the 13th. And the whole Friday the 13th thing, there's a lot of superstition around that, of course. And they say that there are certain things that will happen only on a Friday the 13th. I attribute that to that it's a night that you're more likely that the veil might be thin. It's like a little glimpse into the other world, or that it's a good time to cast curses because so many people are afraid of this night or this day, the combination. I really think it just comes down to the fact that it's a bit of an anomaly. You don't have that many Friday the 13th. And so anytime you have something that's a little bit uncommon, people either fear it or revere it, right? It's like, oh, that's not quite the normal thing. And so it stands out. And anytime something stands out, you can use that to your mystical advantage, I guess.
Could very well be. But do you think that vampires come out more at this time when the two are combined?
I think it's too bright for vampires on a full moon, honestly. It's werewolves that like full moons. Vampires like darkness.
Okay, werewolves. Are we going to see Dogman and werewolves all night or what?
I mean, I think anytime you have the full moon, you do have there's increased lunar activity. So you're definitely going to have, you stand outside and you're going to hear all the dogs howling. I don't know if you can attribute that to the fact that it's not dark enough and everybody's restless, or if there's really something buzzing in the air. I often can't sleep on a full moon and, go for walks or pace the deck because it's just impossible to actually lay down and sleep. Maybe it's the brightness, maybe it's just something happening. But it's definitely a good night if you're going to go out exploring to, it's a good cryptid night.
Yeah, I will not be going out tomorrow.
Really?
No, hell.
Really?
Really? It's Friday the 13th plus a full moon. What do I need? What do I need that kind of trouble for?
Why wouldn't you go out? See, that's just like an invitation.
I do not need that kind of trouble. I can find enough trouble on my own without the help of Friday the 13th and a full moon and a harvest moon and whatever else wants to go along with that. No way. I'm playing it safe. I am so playing this safe. It's better that way.
Well, we want you to be safe.
You go do all the dangerous stuff. You report back to me. How about that?
What, like sit in a cemetery in the middle of the night?
Yeah. You can do whatever you want. We got about 6 minutes left with you tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Varla Ventura is our guest tonight. Her website, varlaventura.net. Geez, what haven't we covered tonight? Any new Pookas sightings?
I did learn that there's a Pooka festival in Ireland, which I think happens in, I'd have to look because I wrote it down when I was there. It's in one of my journals here. But there's a Pooka festival, and it's actually not only specific to what I think of as Pookas, which are sort of these shape-shifting, could appear as a goat or a horse or a rabbit most often, and then they sort of shapeshift and become large enough to throw you on their back and take you on this wild ride. And there's a Pooka festival that takes place in Ireland. I think it's in October, but I'd have to double check. That I'd never heard of before, and that sometimes Pooka is used more in a general term to indicate several kinds of sort of fairy-like creatures. They're the trickster of the fairy kingdom. And at this festival, it's not unlike the way we think of Halloween, where we don masks and sort of act like, do the trick or treat kind of thing and, act crazy and wild and go. The whole idea is that if you don't give me this candy or this offering, I'm going to play a prank on you. So with the Pooka Festival, it's kind of honoring that aspect of the Pooka, and people wear these wild masks and kind of run around scaring each other. I kind of have seen examples of this with the Krampus in early December, this sort of hairy goat-like beast that runs around and throws people in his sack who haven't been behaving very well. So it's kind of a fun trickstery type thing. Fun if you like that kind of thing.
As we get closer to Halloween, which is still well over a month away, but nonetheless still getting closer, people start getting a little bit more superstitious. They start looking for a little bit more darkness, maybe evil or whatever it may be. Do you think it's overhyped? Do you think we push it too far?
Oh, no. We can never have enough Halloween. I mean, I think we don't push it enough. Really. I mean, I know we get the commercial aspect of it pretty early in. It's like move out the, school supplies and move in the pumpkins. I don't have a problem with that because I love Halloween. So the sooner the better. But I think that there's, I think it's one time of the year that people really can admit to being afraid or, kind of tap into this darker side that they have. And I honestly think that's the origins of Halloween. That's the whole idea, is that we mortals can dress like wild beasts and things from the underworld and sort of get that out of our system. It's like, the original Burning Man or something. It's just like, get it out of your system and recognize that there are these other things among us and not be quite as afraid. And also, I think people do love to be scared. They love these kind of like haunted hayrides where there's lunatics screaming from beyond the bars. And it's this idea that we're safe and we're protected even while we're being terrified. That's why we like to go to horror movies. It's like, oh, but we're actually in this theater, and even though there's this terrifying clown on screen, we're gonna drive home and get in our cozy beds. So it's not nearly as scary as going to work 7 days a week or something.
So with only a couple minutes left here, what's next on Varla Ventura's agenda?
So I am about halfway through a book on pirates. That's my next book project. It's about pirates, and I've had a lot of fun researching. I've done some traveling, just had some opportunities to go to different parts of the world that I've never been to before, and that kind of got me really thinking about doing this book, including parts of the Caribbean and parts of the UK. So that's what I'm working on, and who knows what else will come up.
Well, hopefully you'll take a read at what I'm writing.
Oh, yeah, and I'm going to read I'm going to also be reading what you wrote.
When you got extra 8 minutes, you're bored. wondering what you should do between.
If I want to fall asleep, as I was saying,
getting ready for bed and then falling asleep.
Oh, perfect.
That's how we roll. Hey, I'm here to entertain.
I can respect that. Yep.
Very here. Well, I always appreciate you coming on this show. I mean, you're so dedicated to us and the audience. And I have to tell you, I mean what I said right at the beginning of the show, that I get so many people asking about two people on this show. When is Varla Ventura coming on, and when is Butch Witkowski coming back on after his health scare? He'll be back on the 28th of this month, which is nice.
Oh, fun.
30th of this month, which is cool. But for you, it's always a pleasure to have someone of your stature, of your credibility on this show, because I think the knowledge that you have and the research that you have done into these weird, strange topics is really second to none, my friend.
Wow, that's so nice. I really appreciate that. I'm not sure I can second that, but thank you very much.
Anytime. Varla Ventura, everybody, her website, varlaventura.net. Coming up next, as we take this thing home, we got the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Want to remind all of you, our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. So if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can go check them out there. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Fill out a Sightlines report if you've had a strange encounter. And, of course, you can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the WTF. Remember, all of our news can be found at spacedoutradio.com. We're going to start off in North Carolina, where a woman was given an extra reason to celebrate her 64th birthday when she won a $1 million lottery prize. And it was predicted by a friend. Phyllis Moss of Greenville won the top prize of $1 million in a win-it-all scratch-off ticket, came days just before she turned 64. A friend of mine told me something wonderful was going to happen on my birthday this year, Moss said. I never believed it would be this. It's an extra reason to celebrate. Wow. Just wow. Good for her. Moss bought her ticket from the Duck Through food store in Greenville. I started crying. I was so happy, she said. I immediately called my fiancé and told him, you need to pick me up. I can't drive. I'm shaking so much. This has changed my life. Moss says, someone pinch me. This doesn't feel real. Great birthday present for that lady. Good for her. All right. Shall we move on? Let's. You know how last night with William Pullen and Michael W. Hall on Reality Paranormal, we were talking about how there's going to be that select few that actually try to really run into Area 51. Well, 2 men from the Netherlands are charged with trespassing at the Nevada National Security Site. They were released on $500 bail and don't have to remain in the U.S., according to the Nye County Sheriff's Office. Charles Jacob Sweep and Trey's Grandier were arrested Tuesday after deputies discovered their car parked near a gate approximately 3 miles into the Nevada National Security property. They told deputies that one of them was a YouTuber and that they were there to look at the facility. Deputies found several cameras, a phone, and a drone inside their vehicle. Both of the men also said that they speak, write, and read English and had seen and understood the no trespassing signs, but they still entered the property of the facility. Both men consented to a search of their cameras, and the footage on them was of the Nevada National Security property. Both Sweep and Grandier were arrested. They were booked into the Nye County Jail. Lucky they're not shot and dead. Don't upset these grandmothers. 2 women in Russia's Leningrad region have been filmed destroying a child's seesaw after complaining about the noise. Brandishing a saw, the 2 women took turns cutting the playground equipment into pieces. Video of the incident was uploaded to social media. Since then, the footage has been shared widely, accumulating hundreds of thousands of views. According to the Russian news service, the women were acting to help their 100-year-old neighbor who had been disturbed by the noise. In the video, residents can be seen demonstrating with the pair, or remonstrating, as bewildered children looked on. "I can't stand it any longer," one of the women says. "What are you doing in front of the children? Do you not have any idea or not?" another onlooker said. On social media, critics were condemning the behavior of the 2 elderly women. These vandal grannies will now need to either set up a new seesaw at their own expense or fix this one. They should have brought some oil to stop the seesaw from screeching, another commented, but they took a saw and now they're all over the news like vandals. Others expressed sympathy. Why is everyone ganged up on these grannies instead of educating kids who were yelling like crazy near people's windows? Another person, don't be judgmental, please. Live to their age first. You'll be annoyed by the sound, I assure you. Noisy playground equipment has led to destruction in Russia before. In 2018, 2 men used an angle grinder to destroy a metal swing outside their homes in Bryansk because of the noise. Man, hate to be a kid in Russia. Go watch the paint dry. It's better for you. 2 frogs that were wedded in July to appease the Hindu god of rains, Lord Indra, and bring favor and rainfall to drought-stricken Bhopal, the happily married couple have now been divorced after the area experienced intense flooding. Since the frog's wedding, Madhya Pradesh has been inundated with rain, roughly 26% more than usual, causing flooding across the state, including record-breaking rainfall in Bhopal, where parts experienced 48 millimeters in less than 24 hours. So successful was the marriage in bringing the rains that 2 gates of Bhopal Dam and Badada Dam have been opened, while the gates of Kolar Dam were open for the first time in 3 years. The overly successful marriage has to be ended, though, and members of the religion and the area say, symbolically, divorce the frogs, so that way the rain will stop. So everybody's now chanting mantras and physically separating the frogs from being together. Yeah. Problem is, more rain's expected over the next 3 to 4 days. All right. Just north of me, about a 9-10 hour drive, maybe longer, a place called Fort St. John. Well, the BC School District's office there had an unusual break-in when apparently a confused moose smashed its way in and out of the office. The BC Conservation Society tweeted a photo showing the mess left behind when the moose crashed through a window at the Fort St. John School District office. The tweet said the moose crashed its way back out of the office moments later. Today, a moose decided it was not too cool for school and broke its way in and out. Why? We are not sure. Unfortunately, the moose had not learned how to open doors prior. The moose was located and determined to be fine, all things considered, the conservation office said. Well, good for the moose. Good for the moose. All right. Remember Oumuamua? And all the hype around that? Was it an alien craft? Was it a meteor? Well, we're going to get another look. An amateur astronomer has discovered a second known visitor to our part of space from outside the solar system. Even more amazingly, he managed to spot it on approach, meaning we'll have time to study it. Gennady Borisov of Crimea spotted the interstellar space rock on August 30th. It has now been given the official name of C-2019 Q4, Borisov, by the Minor Planet Center. They need some better names for these, seriously. Garbage names. Who comes up with this? Terrible. Thankfully, the rock poses no risk with colliding with Earth, making us go the way of the dinosaurs. The comet has what's known to be as a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning that it hasn't interfered yet, or hasn't been interfered with our sun's gravity, which suggests it's originated from deep space outside of our solar system. Moving on here. Australian police believe they have busted an international drug smuggling ring with the help of an angry seal. Police were first alerted to this alleged plot when the UK and French national were found hiding on an island the day after their yacht ran aground off Western Australia. Officers also discovered an estimated $688,000 of illicit drugs. A second Briton, an American, and Australian appeared in court in connection with the haul. Police Commissioner Chris Dawson said the three were allegedly the shore party who were ready to receive the drugs. We have disrupted a big international drug syndicate, saying officers were still working with international partners, including the UK's National Crime Agency. However, things may have been different had the two men aboard the yacht, Antoine de Senta of France and UK national Graham Palmer, had not been prevented escaping by a large seal. Damien Healy, Geraldton Volunteer Marine Rescue Service Vice Commander, revealed how the men were spotted on an island. Yeah, all because of a seal. The suspects reached the island with the help of an inflatable dinghy and allegedly hid the drugs, including cocaine, ecstasy, and methamphetamine, under some seaweed. But once they realized they had been found, they made a bid to escape, only to discover a big, huge seal was now blocking their way. They woke it up, and it jumped up, stuck its chest out, and bellowed at them. Guys basically had the choice on going through the seal or getting arrested, and they ended up choosing getting arrested. Of course they did. They go into the water. They're shark food. Why do you even head towards the water? I don't know. I really don't know. But I could tell you this. I'd prefer getting arrested too. Finally, man, I had a lot of news in there and it seems to run out quick today. Finally, scientists say they have discovered one of the largest flying animals to have ever lived. A huge, fearsome reptile that ruled the skies more than 70 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. Dubbed Cryodracon boreas, which translates roughly to frozen dragon of the north wind, the now extinct predator, thank goodness, had a wingspan of up to 33 feet long. That's roughly 3 times the size of the world's biggest bird now alive, the wandering albatross, and about as wide as an F-16's wings. One of the several species of extinct flying reptiles known as pterosaurs, this one was odd-looking, very much so. They're kind of built like a giraffe, said David Hone, director of the biology program of Queen Mary University of London, and the lead author of a paper about the discovery published back on September 9th in the Journal of Vertebrate Paleontology. Hold on a second, there's a Journal of Vertebrate Paleontology? Anybody else reading that? What's a subscription worth? If you stood next to a giraffe at the zoo and stretched out its face about twice as long and bolted extra finger joints to its front legs, You basically got it. They had a huge head, huge neck, and long wispy bodies covered in fine downy plumage like that seen on baby birds. Cryodracon is believed to have weighed in excess of 200 kilograms or more than 440 pounds. Little is known about its coloration, though an illustration shows a white animal with a red splotch on its back that looks a little bit like a maple leaf. Yeah, this thing's Canadian. The splotch's color and shape were picked in part of an acknowledged that the fossils used to identify the species were found in Canada. See, it's one of ours. Yes, there we go. But Hone called the fanciful look and color scheme perfectly plausible for Cryodracon. Of course it looks like that. It's Canadian. Very proud, patriotic. Birdie kind. Hone and Cryodracon probably lived much of its life on the ground, walking around like a modern-day egret or heron, and feeding on lizards, small mammals, baby dinosaurs, just about anything small enough to fit down its throat. But, oh, there's a but. It was also a skilled flyer, possibly able to use its membranous wings to soar vast distances. A journey of a few hundred or even thousands of miles shouldn't have been a big deal for it, according to the scientist. I would not be at all surprised if this thing had a range across a huge chunk of North America. Apparently, the fossilized remains used in the making the discovery were found decades ago in Alberta. Scientists had long believed that the fossils belonged to a giant pterosaur species called the Quetzalcoatlus. Okay, I'm done with this one. Let's get to the thought of the day. Thought of the day happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's thought of the day is as follows. How do you think you would react to a face-to-face encounter with Dogman or Bigfoot? Well, let's see. Let's start off with Chris. She goes, I'm not sure. Hard to say until it happens. Got to feel the vibes. Besides, my husband, Brent, not my husband, Chris's husband, Eric Cooper and Cole Wegleitner. Got to watch out for him. He's a Saskatchewan Roughriders fan. Would all hopefully be there with me. Brent goes on to say, I'd be there to introduce myself to it, then introduce you to it. If we can't communicate physically, I'll try to communicate with him astrally. Cooper goes on to say, oh yeah, we'd bring him a cup of coffee, Chris, and invite him to the campfire. Russ, my heart rate would be up, adrenaline would be up, unable to move or speak. Gail says one thing, I'm running. Robert, damn sure I would have a working phone. Yeah, you know it'll be dead by then. You know. That's the way it always is. Natasha, I'm glad you asked. See, I don't like when this happens. I'm going to erase this one. You know, my feed is not to promote your own thing going on. It's really not. I'm not trying to be rude. Audience members want to hear the stories. Don't send me a link to your YouTube channel. It's not nice. Enjoy the show. Tell me what you would do. Don't self-promote. You can do that on your own Facebook. Bad, Natasha. Bad. Nicholas. Dogman, I would probably wet my britches. Bigfoot, I would probably still be terrified, but the word of the woods is that they aren't as aggressive as Dogman, so I figure I would just try to observe the beast the best I can. No doubt forget about my phone, but I could at least take a photo with my brain and draw it later on. Kevin and Kevin's beard, two separate entities. Reckon it depends on how they take it. Daryl. With Bigfoot, I would say to him, hey, what's up, buddy? But with Dogman, I would have to go and put on some clean underwear. Brian. Well, there are way too many variables to each encounter. I have both encounters, and both were rather calm situations. It wasn't until the Dogman disappeared from sight did the nerves start going. In the end, I'd rather go face-to-face with a Sasquatch than a Dogman/werewolf. Alfred, been there, done that. Renee, already been there. Driving to Seattle across the Cascades. To the right on the side of the road stood not a bear, not a deer, not anything explainable except a very large ape-man-like creature. It was at dusk, still plenty of light. Many skeptics would say, I saw a bear. Trust me, I know what a bear looks like, and that was no bear. Told my ex to keep driving and don't stop. Nowadays, I would probably want to stop and get pictures. Dogman? I'd keep on driving. David, again? Same as always, quick to show respect. Continue about my day. Tim, not well with the dogman. With Bigfoot, I would try to shake its hand before it throws me across the horizon. Probably strong enough to do that. Coral, I think those would be two distinct encounters. I might not be too bad were I in a group or another person for a Bigfoot sighting, but for dogman, I'd surely go catatonic. Since they've both been reported in my area, I stay out of the bush now. I know where you live, Coral. Not to sound stalkerish, but yes, both of them have been there. You got a beer named after one. Kokanee beer. Pardon me, pronounce that wrong. Kokanee. Kokanee beer. Good beer out here. Very good beer. Jody, I've never seen a dogman. Have had many encounters with Bigfoot, and it was always amazing, exciting, not scary, gentle, wise energy. Tina, Bigfoot's a little scary. Dogman, a lot scary. Mandy, hey, boo, how's your mama and them? I don't get that. Shar, I can't imagine. I'd just be so scared. Mike, Penman, I would send them to see you, Dave. Well, door's open. Might as well. Lou, I would lock my eyes on movements, watch it closely. Most assured it would know I was in the area before I knew it was. I would know if aggressive it was. It would be, because it would have shown itself. I would be still. Observe acknowledgement of my presence is enough for them. I would back away peacefully and unthreatening. Probably a good place to end it. What the heck? Maybe we can squeeze in a couple more off Twitter. Mr. Skeptic. Oh, you've been classic lately. Hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I would tell Dogman to get off the couch. Bigfoot sits wherever he wants. Oh, that's a good one. Big thanks to everybody participating in today's Thought of the Dave on Twitter and on our Facebook page. We also want to say a big thank you to Captain Shirk for putting all of our news together. You can find our news, which is updated daily, by going to spacedoutradio.com. We'd appreciate that because that's what we do. We also want to say a big thank you to Varla Ventura for coming on for our Cryptid World. She does it every couple of months. She'll be back in November. VarlaVentura.net. Find her books on Amazon and in any major bookstore. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms on Spreaker, the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, Revolution Radio, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, wherever you may be. Please remember this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us. It was a blast. It was wiry in the chat rooms because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.